I don't know. That's a guy in your lineup, man, that is there for a minute, man. I mean, it's 17 home runs, 56 ribbies so far this season. I know you got to pay a price to get a price, but man, I don't know, especially for a guy that, just like we said, Masterson as much could come back to Cleveland as anywhere else. I mean, Lester as much could go back to Boston as anywhere else. I don't know that he will, because they were pretty far apart on their money, and Lester was not interested in giving the Red Sox a break at all. But still, Oakland going all in for this stretch run. They're tired of being good enough to get to the dance and then not being able to break through that. So we'll see how it works out for them. But they made a second trade because of this. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. Tommy Milone, the lefty. That's somebody I would have liked to have seen. I mean, he's 6-3 this year with a 3.5 ERA. He's been squeezed out because they had too much starting pitching. The A's, I knew they were going to have to trade him, and I was hoping that maybe Cabrera, because they needed a middle infielder, maybe you could work something there. But I think Oakland just basically decided, you know what, we're going to trade him, but we're going to trade him to somebody we don't have to worry about right now. So they sent him to Minnesota for Sam Fuld. And, I mean, obviously, it's a good trade for the Twins because that's a young lefty that you're going to have. I believe he's got 3 full seasons beyond this of team control, which is what a team like any kind of a small market or a small budget team wants to have. But that was a guy I was really, especially when I saw the Lester trade, I said, now Oakland is definitely going to trade Milone. But unfortunately, the Indians were not the team. I know they were in on the conversations, but I mean, I think it's just common sense that Oakland said, why give a piece to a team that may be in the conversation here in the offseason or in the postseason. So they ended up going with the best offer from a non-contender. I'll tell you though, that would have been nice. A lot of people are probably like, who's Tommy Milone? But I'm telling you, he would have been a nice little piece to add there into the Indians rotation. But with 3 hours, a little 3 hours plus to go here, I still think that the Indians are going to talk. They may not grab one, but a pitcher. If you said pick one position, forget a name. If you said pick a pitcher or pick a position, it's a pitcher. They're going to get a starting pitcher if they get anybody. And I'll tell you, don't sleep on the Jon Lester stuff. The Indians are one of the teams more likely than the others to be the landing spot simply because of their interest in working with him on a contract, because that's a very important thing for him, and that's important for the Indians, because if he wasn't interested in it, then they don't have any interest in him either. They're not into guys walking away. So we'll see. Let's see what happens in the next couple of hours with Cabrera, with Lackey, with all of that. Let's stop talking about what might happen, about who may be here, people that aren't on the Indians. You know who is on the Indians? Seattle knows after last night. Corey frickin' Kluber. That's who's on the Indians. 85 pitches is all it took that man. He basically said, you know what? I'm going to have a drink tonight and say goodbye to Justin Masterson, so we're going to get this game over quick, and we're going to go out and we're going to salute Masty on his way out of Cleveland, because he got this. Economical is not the word. Both pitchers, I mean, they were blown. At first, I got to say, the Indians, am I wrong, or was my math in the second inning a 6-pitch inning for Felix Hernandez, just while we're talking about both pitchers being great? The second inning, I'm telling you, he nailed the inning. Boom, boom, boom. Inning was over, just like that. But Kluber, 85 pitches, 3 hits, shutout. Another 9-inning game, back-to-back doing that, by the way. His first career complete game shutout. Second career complete game, the other one already this season. Think about what Corey Kluber has done. Kluber's the first Indians pitcher since Cliff Lee to go consecutive starts of at least 9 innings with no walks. I mean, he was so incredibly dominant. It's time for me to pull out my sheets here with all my Corey Kluber stats for you. Check it out, man. I mean, he just absolutely went to town last night. 16 balls, 69 strikes. 16 balls in the entire game. A week ago, I watched Danny Salazar throw 16 balls in 1 inning. He threw 16 balls in the entire game. I'm telling you, man, unbelievable. 69 strikes. This season, Corey Kluber has struck out 170 batters and walked 33. I mean, you can't even make sense out of you can, because he's just the beast, but you can't even make sense out of some of these numbers that I'm throwing out there. Last time I mentioned Cliff Lee, 2009, last time that somebody from the Indians went consecutive 9-inning starts, giving up no walks in all of baseball since 2009. Only Cliff Lee, David Price, and Corey Kluber have ever done that. That's it in the last 5 years in all of baseball. Cliff Lee's done it twice, David Price has done it twice, and Corey Kluber has now done it twice. That is it. And he's the first right-handed pitcher to do it since 2007. You go back even 2 more years. I mean, that's giving you some perspective on what he did last night. 85 pitches. I could, again, take shots at, I think Justin Masterson threw 85 pitches in 3 innings when he was in AAA last week. But 85 pitches. Since 1988, which is the year that they started keeping track of pitch counts in a game, he has the record now of the shortest pitch count on a 9-inning shutout. 85 pitches. The next closest, Charlie Nagy back in 92, and it took him 5 more. It took him 90 pitches to do it. In baseball, since they've tracked pitch counts, only 20 pitchers have done it on 85 pitches or less in a complete game shutout. 20 pitchers in the last 2 decades, and that's since they've kept track of it. I mean, I can continue to give you stat after stat of putting into perspective what kind of a season we're getting a chance to watch Corey Kluber do. And I really believe that we are just watching the emergence of the next stud pitcher in the American League for the next several seasons. I mean, check this out. When you take the game he did last night, pair it up with the no decision that should have been a victory, and look at the way, by the way, side note, the way Felix was pitching last night, part of my gut said Corey Kluber is on the verge of going for back-to-back complete game shutouts and losing them both, or not winning them. You know what I'm not winning, whether he lost them or not, I don't know. But you know what I mean? I'm like, man, it's about to happen to him again. Luckily, the offense came through. But when you take last night and the game against Kansas City, 18 innings, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 5 hits allowed, 18 strikeouts. I mean, amazing. He is by the way, this is just a goofy stat. I don't even know where I found this one. According to Baseball Reference Guide, Corey Kluber becomes the only pitcher in Major League Baseball history to face 28 batters or less in consecutive starts of at least 9 innings. I mean, he's flirting with perfection out there, man. I mean, what else can you say about Corey Kluber? And hey, the guy on the other side of the mound, no slouch at all. Felix Hernandez matched him step for step most of the way. It was Felix's first loss since the beginning of June, and it's only his 3rd losing decision of the season. And in Hernandez's 3 losses, I mean, and trust me, we can feel his pain from what we've seen Kluber go through. In the 3 games that Hernandez has lost this year, the Mariners have given him 0, 1, and 2 runs of support. So that'll show you there. And check this out. While we're talking about Kluber's greatness, 14th consecutive start for Felix last night. Runs. He's passed Tom Seaver as the longest such streak in baseball history. He now owns the longest streak in baseball history. 14 consecutive starts of at least 7 innings pitched, allowing 2 or fewer runs. That's, hey, you got to give credit whether it's on your side or the other side. I told you guys you were going to watch a beauty last night, and it was locked up until Yanni Gomes, the animal, came through, roped that hit, scored Swisher and Chisenhall, and that was it. That was all it took. And you know what? Yanni Gomes coming through with the bases loaded. It was good to see. 1 for 12 previously with the bases loaded, and then got that big key hit. And in the second half, Gomes, we talk about Santana getting hot, Gomes as well. Since the second half started, and we're only talking about 13 games, but he's hitting .409, 6 doubles, 2 homers, 9 ribbies, 9 runs scored, .415 average tonight before the game. It was the 4th highest in the American League in the second half. So Yanni Gomes getting hot at the right time. And hey, you know what? I'll give 220-0 credit, Bro Hio over there. Man, he got couple of hits last night, 2 for 3. His season's going so bad, he went 2 for 3 last night, and it raised his batting average 10 points. I'm telling you, man. He was hitting like 201 to start. He was 211 by the time the game was over with last night. I said, man, that's when you're going bad, when 2 for 3 makes you look that much better. But I'll give Swisher credit. I guess you could call this an uptick from what he did in the first 75 games. In the last 25 games, Swisher's batting .255 with 8 extra base hits, 16 RBIs, 12 runs scored. So, you know what? Honestly, taking no shots at Swisher, that's actually what you would have hoped he would have just done all season based on the last few years. Before the season, I said, man, him 250 this year, I guess I'll be happy with that. But he's got a long climb to go before he gets there. Indians able to do a little bit of damage in the standings with that impressive Corey Kluber performance last night. They picked up a half game in the wild card. Tribe sits 5 games back here. You've got basically, 4, 5, 6 teams here within 6.5 games. You got the White Sox, Tampa, Cleveland, Kansas City, New York, Seattle. Indians right there, 5 games back of that. And in the division as well, with Detroit still refusing to run away with this thing. Detroit 58-46. The Indians just 6.5 back of them as well. And I know it's easier to look at the wild card because it's a smaller gap, but I look at the division every bit as much as the wild card because you've got, we just mentioned, 6 teams bunched up in that wild card gap. Meanwhile, you look at the division, you got Cleveland, you got Kansas City, you got Detroit. That's it. The 3-team race there for the top. White Sox are hanging on the fringe, but I'm not really including them in this conversation. So you've got a more direct line to the playoffs right there. So I'm not even going to listen to Bruce. I'm not even listening to you, Bruce, with that argument. I'm not going to start arguing about the second wild. Okay, it's the losers bracket, I guess. I don't know. You play by the rules that are out there, man. If they're going to put an extra playoff berth out there, then you take it. Last season, Bruce, you didn't feel like it was the losers bracket. You were happy as hell to see the Indians get the second wild card. All of a sudden now it's the losers bracket. All right, whatever, man. I can't win for losing here, but I'm not giving up on the Indian season just yet. Man, I'm up against it. I got callers on hold. Callers, I've got to clear the lines. I want to talk more Tribe. I want to talk Browns. I've got Dougie Plagans coming up just 3 minutes from now. Got to talk some Gladiators. Let me clear the phone lines, and I'll open them back up in 25 minutes. Let me get Doug Plagans in here on. Do the Gladiators preview. We'll get that out of the way. We'll reopen the phone lines. Clearly people have heard me because I just saw the phone lines go blank. Let me get Dougie on the show. We're way overboard here. I promise I'll reopen the phone lines. We'll get you the news. When we come back on the other side of this, Doug Plagans, Cleveland Gladiators, talking playoff action. We preview the first playoff matchup, the road to the Arena Bowl coming. We're going to talk Browns. I swear I'm going to reopen the phone lines. I'll get to your calls and so much more. Sit tight. Listen to the news. Doug Plagans coming up in hour 2 of the Sports Fix right after this.
We here at the Sports Fix want to make all of your dreams come true.
What about my dream?
Edith, I told you I can't build your candy house. It will fall down. The sun will melt the candy. It won't work.
It will if it never rains.
Oh, maybe not all of them. Get your fix on the Sports Fix.
Harmony,
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. Of course, you know during Brown season, we're there each and every week. What a fun time it was last year. But not just that, so many more reasons for you to check out the Harry Buffalo today. The UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events. Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks. And every day of the week, there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a bison burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
This is head coach Gary Waters at Cleveland State, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.